And so a little bit about me. I started my career in the commercial side of the bank, then moved into retail, then did a combination of the two. What I do now for Murchison's Marine Bank is a chief banking officer. A lot of people ask me, like, what is that? We kind of make up titles in banking, don't we? So I cover the front end of the bank. So anything that touches the customer, whether it's marketing, retail, commercial, that's all kind of my area. So market presidents, or director of retail banking, marketing team. So anything back office is not me, but anything front office is kind of what I handle. And so I've been with the bank for 2 years. I was with a larger regional bank, about 35 billion, for over 20 years, and joined Murchison's Marine Bank when they were on a really interesting time at their company. And so Murchison's Marine Bank has been around for over 100 years. It currently has 15 locations in 4 different cities in 2 different states. So it's over South Mississippi, South Alabama, a lot of coastal communities. And again, it's been there a very long time. And so there's some amazing things about the culture of Murchison's Marine Bank. And this is going to hit a lot of hearts of you all, because I got to meet you all throughout this time here. And it's big belief, and its culture really rests in how it treats its associates, but also how it involves in the community. And so the culture is really around the community, helping the community, doing things. We talked this morning, had a group at breakfast talking about how we're going to schools, doing things like that. That is the heart and the culture of who we are. So several people on team have worked at larger regional banks. And if you work at a large regional bank, I'm not knocking you or anything else, but it tends to change as you get bigger. The culture begins to change. The focus goes off the smaller community, and all of a sudden it goes to the large metro areas and the big cities. And we decided if we were going to grow, which we needed to grow, we were not going to do it the same way. We had to be something different. We had to really hold and grasp onto our culture. And so, talking about our culture and what it means to us is important. So, as I mentioned, we had 15 locations, 14 different cities. That's a lot of different areas to cover. And so what we found out is, as we began looking through our culture as a whole, while there's some wonderful things about our culture, we were missing some stuff. We had some different gaps. And what we believed was culture needs to be something that has a process that's repeatable, that is able to easily share what our culture is. And so we really didn't have those processes. We didn't have those things in place to really be repeatable in a way, and a lot of way of sales. So one of the big hurdles that you may have saw here was a hurdle for us was we weren't one team. We had retail and we had commercial. So I know there's some credit unions here that may not do a lot of commercial, may just do retail, but how many banks do I have here that is somewhat segregated between retail and commercial? It's hard, isn't it? It's the process of retail is, hey, they walk in, I got to take care of them, I got to get them in and out. My sales process maybe 2 minutes, it may be 10 minutes. If I'm lucky, I get to meet with them and then I get a second appointment. But that's rare. They really want it right now. Whereas on the commercial side, you may take months or even years to bring in a client. And so what we believe is, in order for that hurdle to be taken care of, we had to have common language, common unity, and common processes. And so that was a tough thing to find, and a tough thing to really nail down for us as a bank. But we understood that it was very important to not segregate those two things, because we are all one team. And so we had to come up with a strategy. And so the first area of that strategy was really to train. So as soon as I came into the bank, I started going around to different branches, talking to different, we have a lot of tenured bankers. And then I'd mention sales and their knees would buckle, like, no, we don't do sales. I was like, oh, okay, well, tell me what you do. And so they'd walk through we build relationships and we have all these terms within banking. And okay, so what is sales? Well, sales that's an awful word. We don't do that as pushy. It's something that's manipulative. It's something that's car lot kind of stuff. Everybody hates to be sold something. And so I'd really challenge them, and it's like, well, tell me a good experience of sales. And at first, they didn't have any. And then you started asking more questions, and they realized they were being sold stuff all the time and having great experiences, whether they were at Chick-fil-A or my favorite Canes. If y'all know Canes, you got to come to the South and get some Canes. I'm talking fried chicken here. So anyway, you're constantly being sold stuff, and yet when you don't feel like you're being sold things because they're meeting needs. And so we needed to have a sales training that incorporated that. Next, we needed to develop a scalable framework. So what I found out was our teams really didn't have a process. So if a customer walked in, what questions do you ask them? How do you engage them? How do you get the real meat of what they need? A lot of times they'll come in and immediately start thinking of a product, or how can I help you today? Well, I need a line of credit. Perfect. We got a line of credit. We're going to get you right in here. We're going to get the application started. We need to have you in and out of here in 15, 20 minutes. Well, all they knew to ask was they had a line of credit. Let's ask them some questions. And so the process of really interviewing them and really determining what their needs were to make sure that our solutions met that need, we didn't have a process in place. And that may be similar to y'all. And it was the same way for commercial. So we knew that we had to have a process that was repeatable, that was easy to remember. It couldn't be some 20-step process that they had to walk through. They didn't need to be able to get out their desk, some big, I don't know if y'all seen those, some banks have them. If you have them, I'm not trying to hurt feelings, but they bring out this big book and let's thumb through it. And then they thumb through it some more. Or maybe they have a big laminated piece of paper that's got 360 on it. We're going to ask you all these questions. And they're like, why are you asking like 500 questions? This is my need. So we needed something easy that was repeatable. And then we needed to deliver it. So this was the biggest eye opener for us. We knew we needed sales. We knew we needed a process. And so we started diving down that road. We started going hard at looking, how can we do this? How can we implement this? And then we realized the biggest thing, we can implement all this stuff. We can do sales. We can have the processes. We can put everybody through training. But if we're not coaching them, if we're not spending the one-on-one time with them, if we're not coming behind them and praising them correctly, if we're not speaking the language that they're used to be spoken to or they need to be spoken to, because we all have different language where we hear things and what really encourages us. If we weren't doing those things right, if we weren't speaking that language to them, all of it was for naught. We needed to learn how to be better coaches. And that's, as an executive team, that woke us up.
All right, so I'm Steven. Hello, thank you. I am going to facilitate this little section here. Now that you've heard Greg's story and Merchants and Marines Bank story, and how they did that whole train, develop, and deliver. We have a specific question we'd like for you to all talk about. So go into little small groups. We're not going to tell you how to break into your small groups. You choose. You're adults. So we're not going to break you up, but go ahead and we'd like for you to answer this question. How is sales viewed in your organization? How is sales viewed in your organization? Come up with as many descriptors as you'd like, and reasons as to why that would be the case. And then how do you wish it was viewed in your organization? All right. Believe us, we are not going to be offended by whatever comes out. We'll do a massive debrief on this. But please take a few minutes and have that discussion.
Every team member at the bank, we had really dove back in together and said, man, we see these issues. How do we do it? And again, we knew there were sales things, but if we didn't get coaching right, none of that was going to matter. So I said, okay, we need to roll out coaching. Well, we need to get our market presidents to do coaching, and we need to do our branch managers do coaching, and then we're like, hold on, how do we do that? How in the world can we start telling them to do coaching, and we hadn't modeled it as a team? So I'm wonderful to have. I'm very blessed to have an amazing CEO that understands this, and so he said, no, we are going to start at the very top of the house. They have to know that this is who we are. This is what our culture is about. It's about helping our team members, about helping our associates, about coaching them the way that they need to be coached. So what did we start? we started the entire executive team, back office, front office, our chief financial officer, chief risk officer, CEO, myself. We all went through executive coaching. Now, before then, I had to be able to make a decision of, how do we pick an outside company? We didn't feel that we could really come up with the material ourselves, and so we had to go through pick an outside company. What an easy task. There's a lot of companies out there that do coaching and sales, and believe me, if you start putting on LinkedIn or something like that you're looking for it, they will find you. They will begin sending stuff to your house. It'll come to your office. They will track you down. And so, so for us, there was some key things that were non-negotiables for us. Number one, they had to line up with our values. Sales is never pushy. Sales is always about in the customer's best interest. Sales is not something you do to someone, it's something you do with someone. All those things were very important to us as a bank because, again, we knew that for our culture, the way that we communicate and meet the needs of our clients is more important to our culture than just about anything else. And so we had to get this right. So I interviewed multiple different companies, looked at them, and the final company ended up going with was Integrity Solutions. And so, and the reason why they allowed me to actually go through the certification process, I went through the entire certification process. I really wanted to see all of them, because it was after everything, interviews I had with Donna, after having the website, I'm a research geek, so I was researching like crazy. Yeah, everybody puts up a good front, but I want to see the material. I want to see where the rubber meets the road. And going through it, it was legit. What they talked about was never pushy. It was always about in the customer's best interest. But one of the biggest areas that I can never put in the words that really helped me make the final decision was it wasn't just the process. Like, have any of y'all had a sales process before? Y'all ever walked through a sales process before? I mean, you have some type of questioning, the interviewing process, you have determining a solution, you've got different terms for, everybody's got their own little terms. And it's important. The process is very important, but it's not the only thing. And that was the thing that I couldn't put into words because I would have team members that I would coach for years, the process. I would coach them on how to prospect. I would coach them on all those things, and the results weren't there. There was a gap. There was a gap somewhere in there. And a lot of times it was those mental gaps. And that's where we knew we had to have a partner that understood it's not all about the numbers. I've got a guy on our executive team. He's a great guy. He was examiner, and before that he did life insurance. And he's a very smart guy. And he's like, Greg, it's all about the numbers. The more calls you make, the more sales you make. I was like, how long you been in banking? I was like, not true. Somebody can go out there and make all the calls they want. If they're horrible calls, they don't get the business. If they walk in and they don't believe in the products, if they don't believe in their own abilities, if they don't have those different things, it's not going to matter, because when they come across to the customer, it doesn't matter what process you got. If they don't have the confidence and other things that go along with it, it's not going to work. And so we needed a team member that understood that it's not just about the numbers. It's about the mindset. And that's a big portion of when you can walk in there understanding you're not just understanding your products, but believing in your products, understanding your abilities so that you can approach someone with confidence. Huge part of what we do. So, so our approach was to start at the top of the house, get coaching done. Then we rolled out sales to our retail and commercial. Now, why do we do retail and commercial? Unity, common language, segregation within banking. We've been doing it for years. We've segregated our bankers into retail and commercial for whatever reason. And I can say this because I started on the commercial side. Have y'all ever met a commercial lender that's not a diva? Anybody? They're all divas. They're all divas. They think they know it. They think they've got it figured out. And I was in branch management, but now I'm a commercial lender. And I was like, that type of language, that type of talk just rips at the core of what the bank is. So we knew we had to be one team, one common language, unity. And so we brought both teams together to do all the training. So that was our approach. And we've seen a lot of success through that.
So we're going to question 2 now. We'll take a few minutes for this. You've heard how Greg started out with the executive team. By the way, I got to work with them, and it was a blast. At the top, the CEO and president had I look for 3 virtues when doing executive coaching. I won't accept an engagement unless you promise to give me your courage, humility, and discipline. Courage to do what you haven't been able to do before. Humility to realize that there are new ways of doing things and you're willing to experiment with them. And finally, the discipline to actually fulfill on what you're saying you're going to do. So we can do that. We can work together. Courage, humility, discipline. And Clayton and Greg and the team, they all demonstrated this, right? So and there's been great success. Because of that, they've been successful in rolling this out. And now with their coaching model, they're sustaining the integrity selling model and training that happened for the retail and commercial bankers. So they have a model that's self-sustaining and consistent. And now we continue having that common language, continue rolling out, not only to existing employees, but now as part of the onboarding process. We're inculcating them into, this is how we speak, this is how we do things from the hiring process and into performance, right? So here's your question. How do you establish common language and ensure a consistent customer or member journey? How are you doing that today? Nobody wants to break in this one, huh? Okay. Yeah, let's do a breakout. Let's talk. Yeah, you know what? People like to talk and be heard. So we're going to give that and you all an opportunity to do that. Go ahead and you can go back into your original groups. How are you doing this? All right. Who's going to be the first volunteer? Sarah, do we have anybody online? Anybody on the live stream have anything? Not yet. Okay. All right. Just let me know. We'll do this one. We'll do this one quite quickly. And we'll do this quickly because we don't want to air anybody's dirty laundry, right? We ain't putting it out there. I get it. I get it. Do we have a volunteer? Anybody want to share? Okay. You have to talk about your bank, not anybody else's. They just not.
I can talk about my bank all day. So 10 years ago, we decided that we needed common language. And so we have what's called Be the One service culture principles. We're the first bank and trust. So everything's about the one. We talked about that, the same thing. And so we have 9 service culture principles. They all start with be empowered, be the expert, be honest and sincere, empathetic and appreciative, etc. We're going to need to fire by these. We're going to need to have goals based on these, etc. And we also have then a training that went along with it that every single person in the organization has gone through. And every single person in the organization goes through when they start. I've been training the same thing for 10 years. So every single person hears it from me, which is kind of exciting, right? The same language, one message exactly. And then we also have incentives based on this. So each quarter we have basically an employee of the quarter, which is based on those service culture principles and how they live those out. And so I think, and our CEO, when we do quarterly meetings, we talk about the service culture principles, all of that language, all of the time. And our last one is be one team, which we keep talking about here, which is perfect.
Yep. Thank you. Great.
So I'm credit union world and yeah, woo. So, but I came from banking. So when I got there, we did not have a sales culture at all. And so I said, oh, we got to fix this. So we're still getting there. We've got the message. We did a culture refresh and it was not from hired in. So I was really proud of our executive team. We all sat together and figured out who we wanted to be. And sometimes that can be hard. And so a lot of things came out in that discussion that were hard. And I think that it's helped us. So we've done the culture part, but I think that we need to have that. It's not infiltrated yet. So we're trying to get everybody on the same page. To me, I wrote something down that I thought was really cool, but maybe nobody else will think it's cool, but that's okay. I'm gonna still say it. we don't sell, we help our members reach their goals.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my message. I just have to figure it out. And hopefully Integrity can help me do it. And hopefully they let me get it. Let's say a prayer, please.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we coming. All right, I'm coming here right after this, and then we'll continue.
So her and I talking to each other, our cultures are very similar. We have the one concept going as well. My credit union, I'm credit union bro, former banker also. I will tell you that we originated from two separate credit unions that were equally in size.
Mhm.
One was in trouble, one was not. So when we first merged, it was sort of a them and us.
Yeah.
And it was tough in the beginning, but the CEO got us together. So everything is about one.
Yeah.
So we're one SECU. Our bonuses are tied together. It doesn't matter if you're front office or back office.
Yeah.
Our motto is honest people, trusted products, time valued. So
Mhm.
one, we're honest about what we do.
Yeah.
We have a product that can fit anyone's needs, and we value our members' time. And so that's the culture that we have there. And we do consultative sales. So when you asked about the culture before,
Yes.
I didn't want to sound like we're already doing that, but we are. We do consultative sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's always about what is right for the member. We're not
Sure.
selling the product of the day, but what is right for the member.
Absolutely.
You do what's right for them, they'll come back each and every time.
Yeah.
And so that's our
Good.
Your name? Sharon. Sharon is taking a lunch invitations. If you want to take her out to lunch and find out how they're doing this.
Yeah.
Listen, I do that everywhere I go. Somebody generally takes the person out because they want to pick the brain. Put it out there.
Noon. I am also with a credit union. Whoop, 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 whoop. And we have a new CEO within the last year and a half. And so we institute a new mission, vision, and values. And we didn't want to make this an event, reveal them and then, oh, you're on to something else. And so we are embedding the conversation in our meetings. And one of the icebreakers is, who have you seen live out one of our values this week, and what behavior did they do? So we're just integrating it in conversation to begin with, and then looking at all of our trainings to make sure that we touch point on how does this training connect to our culture.
All right, we're coming online. Running it.
All right. Shanna says that they established a common language and member journey by following an acronym they created that aligns with their brand pyramid and their purpose statement. All employees are required to go through the training about culture and how to approach conversations with our members using the acronym.
Very good.
Thank you. What's the acronym? We're going to ask, and we like acronyms. Now,
Yeah.
I love what was shared here, right? We're looking at, this is not just a training event. When you're establishing the culture, when you're establishing the language, it cannot be an event. It must be continuous experience. There must be critical touch points, critical conversations that are happening and being sustained throughout the conversations. So from the moment of hiring, I loved how you shared that. From the moment of hiring, when we say hello to when we say goodbye, this is all involved in what we do. It's sustained, right? So not an event, but an experience that's lived out and continues to develop. Really, really important. We like acronyms. We have that acronym, by the way, yet? Impact. All right. It's called Impact. All right. We like, yeah. We're gonna have to, if she can spell out impact, I think that there's gonna be some people who want to know that one. Okay. All right. You're making me work harder than what I should be working. We're gonna get that answer for you. We like acronyms. All right. However, we need to be mindful of the fact that we teach these acronyms, we teach process, but like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until I punch them in the mouth. Right? So it's what are we doing to sustain it so that when we do get punched in the mouth, because we will, we can fall back onto a sustained process and we know where to go from here. And that's what we've built inside of the work that we did with Merchants and Marine Bank at Integrity Solutions. I'm going to skip that question. And we're going to go and show you our sales congruence model. I'm going to build this out now so that you all have this, because you're probably going to want to steal it. I mean, write it down. Sharing is caring. That's right. We are generous and we believe in generosity. So we're going to start there. If you're going to take a picture of me, at least get me in the picture. Tag me. Yeah. All right. There's a 360 view, a panoramic shot. Yes, we've got that. Hit us up on you can share that with Integrity Solutions on LinkedIn. I'm Steven Lozada on LinkedIn. Go ahead and tag me. Love to, and I generally accept connection invitations. I didn't. Okay, I'm coming back. So as I'm taking this picture, I'm going to start out with the view of selling. Right? We asked that question earlier. Thank you. What's your view of selling? If you have a negative view of selling, the rest of this isn't going to work. Right? View of ability. Do I have the skill set, or do I believe I have the skill set? Do I know how to start that sales conversation? Going back to what was shared earlier, right? How confident am I in my ability to be able to do this? I'm going to skip to over values just a minute and go to commitment to activities. We like to say commitment to all activities. So if there's a process and we're talking about prospecting, asking questions, probing questions, things like that, am I committed to actually seeing this through in the service of my client? Because I'm going to reinforce what Greg said earlier. Sales is not something we do to someone, it's something we do with them. Coaching is not something we do to someone, it's something we do with them. We are standing shoulder to shoulder, side by side, to tackle a problem or a pain that you're facing today. And that's the way we look at this, okay? And then finally, belief in the product. Do I believe that this product will actually satisfy a need, resolve a problem, help you get better, help you achieve a dream, help you relieve or mitigate a risk? Do I believe in the product? And what we're looking for here in the sales congruence model is to align these things or to put them into congruence. Because if I have a positive view of selling, but I have a sucky belief in the product, the question is, am I going to offer that product? Or if I have a positive view of selling and I have great view of my abilities, I can do it, but I'm not committed to the activities, how successful am I going to be? So we work on aligning these things in terms of aligning them to your values. My inner core, what do I believe? Honesty, integrity, morality, respect, honor. And how can we then align all these things to then transfer that to the sales conversation or the relationship building conversation? Whatever euphemism you want to use, friends, it's okay. We're still doing the same thing. We're helping our client make a decision that's in their best interest. That's what this is. All right. So that's the sales congruence model. We went through this with the retail and the commercial bankers at Merchants and Marine Bank. We hope that we can get to do this at your bank or credit union. But we're giving them a structure so that they know certain behaviors to align to. There's a lot more to this, but we're not going to go through it. All right. So I'm gonna shift this over to Greg. We're gonna share maybe one or two testimonials of what happened after we did this sales training.
Yeah, these are some of our divas. And so you can see, so the course is engaging, compelling, not just stereotypical sales training. Both the coursework and instructor encourage participation, interaction. Go and roll with the next one.
Yep.
Both coach. This is one of our market presidents that did the coaching and sales training. Taught the importance of understanding people and how to how to communicate with them. And then the weekly follow-up sessions that this process. This is not like a 1 day or a 2 day. This goes over about a 9-week period.
Yep.
That you're going through this whole training. And then this is one of our diva that works in my office. Just very thoughtful. This guy here has been through a lot of different sales training. He was blown away again because it lined up with his values. It wasn't about being pushy. It wasn't about those. He came from a larger bank, and so it was a big part of big thing for him.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
Yep.
So to piggyback on what Greg just mentioned, this is not just an event. It's an experience that lasts over 8 weeks at minimum, 8 weeks. So we'll do a 1.5 day initial workshop, what we call we're downloading it. Greg gave me a line sometime. I tell people it's like drinking water out of a fire hose. We've heard that expression, right? And that's what we do. Day one, we give you a download of all this material, right? So that at least you're aware of it. And then following that are 8 weekly sustainment sessions so that we get to go back into the workplace and we get to practice on a weekly basis certain parts of the program. And then we report back and we share and enrich the learning with the participants in the program. And we do that for 8 weekly sustainment sessions so that we are inculcating and building that embodiment of what's happening. So it's an experience that is embodied. Now, when I did the whole download thing, I told them, I warned them. I said, listen, this is going to be a download of everything. And then Greg says, well, I think you should stop saying drinking water out of a fire hose, because if I'm doing that, I did that because I wanted to. This is more like waterboarding you did to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. He survived, though. He survived. He survived. Now, we just went through that. I showed you one of the heart of the sales process. We want to show you our coaching process. All right. This is the sustainment. So we've done the training. We've given people the ability to start the sales conversation, to sustain the sales conversation, and to strengthen it along the way. They've got the skill set. They have the ability. They have a framework. It's natural. This is not scripted. We're letting them be natural, but we're giving them a framework so that if they do get punched in the mouth along the way, they know where to fall on the process. Oh, I got to go back and maybe ask some questions. Okay. So there's a lot more to this, but this is how we sustain it in the organization. Coaching is about creating culture. Coaching is about creating culture. This is how we sustain it. We develop, we connect with our people, we transfer knowledge and content. And so this is our model. We start out with the prep stage. How do you prepare for a critical conversation? These could be performance conversations. These could also be conversations with clients, but how can you prepare for those? What's going to be your approach? My biggest takeaway from this step is going to be my statement of intent. What is it that you want to achieve at the end of this conversation? You want to help them. And so how we teach you how to write and also deliver a statement of intent so that you establish that conversation and you create a path moving forward. Now, ask. We're asking, we know closed-ended and open-ended questions. Yeah, we know this. Right? We go a little deeper. We have a model called the GAP model, and we go into asking probative questions that are future pacing. Because when you ask questions about the past, people get defensive. You're asking them to explain and justify what happened, and they can't change that. So we're inviting folks to ask future pacing, probative questions that would allow them to self-discover and then commit to themselves to what they should be doing. Because here's a conversational cornerstone. If you want to write this down. People do things for their own reasons, not yours. People do things for their own reasons, not yours. And so we're giving you a way to have that conversation. Listening, we go deep into listening skill. It's the one skill that I think we go through communication classes, right? We could go to, and most of those communication classes are public speaking type of things. How to deliver your message, how to be succinct, how to be entertaining, all that. But nobody's actually teaching about the listening part of this. And so what we want to do is we dig deep into listening skills. What are you listening for? Right? And we talk about listening above the line and below the line in terms of here's the knowledge, what's the emotional area that we need to be dealing with, and how can we help them partner to the next commitment. We coach, we praise, which was probably Greg's favorite part. Greg loves to be praised. I mean, you like to praise others. That was what we talked about.
That's it.
Being specific about your praise. Friends, how many of you feel overappreciated at work? Please raise your hand. Anybody feel overappreciated? Overappreciated? Anybody? I've asked this to thousands of people. I promise you, I've yet to get an answer that says I feel overappreciated, which challenges the myth that you can praise too much and people think that it's worthless or that it's fake or that it's useless. Never. I've yet to find anybody who says I feel overappreciated. So let's praise and praise often, yeah? Let's find it. My friend Chester Elton and Adrian Gostick, they wrote a book called Leading with Gratitude. And one of my favorite quotes in the book, page 6, I've memorized it. A lack of gratitude is a form of stupidity. And so we're deliberately building praise so that we're recognizing and reinforcing the positive behavior. And then finally, we're issuing a challenge. Now that we've looked at this, we've looked at some of the obstacles that you're facing. What are you going to do differently? And we invite you to commit to generally one action. One action. What one thing will you do differently? And how can I support you in getting that done? And then we finish off with the follow-up. Our next conversation is going to be, so tell me, last week or 2 weeks ago, you committed to doing X, Y, and Z. How's it going? I wish you wouldn't ask me that question. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate the honesty. Now I'm praising you for the behavior that I appreciated. Tell me more. What about this question is causing you some angst? just digging deeper below the line, right? That emotional space. We're creating a connection to then help somebody change a behavior, right? This is what we did with the executives at Merchants and Marine Bank. As they practice this, they transfer that knowledge just in the practice. They transfer the knowledge and the model to their people who then practiced it with their clients. Imagine if you were in a buying conversation with someone who did this with you. Ask questions, listened to you intently, made some recommendations, praised you for the decision you're about to make, and then asked you, how can I support you in the next steps moving forward? How might that conversation be different with members and clients? So this is what we're doing. And this is what we're inviting you to consider. In the room, we have Donna Horgan. Hi, Donna, this is Donna, my friend Donna from Integrity Solutions, and Diane Strand. All right. We're here to support you. We have a booth out there. We'd love to have a conversation around how we might be able to support you. What are some of your needs, and how we might be able to support you to create the culture that you want to exist in, because you have the power to influence that.
And I'll leave you just with, so when we implemented this, since we've implemented this, our loan growth has gone up higher than we've ever had before. We're averaging over 15% loan growth month over month. Our earnings are about double of where our earnings were before as a bank. And our culture and morale is stronger than it's ever been. So I'm not going to say this is everything, but this is a huge part because culture drives it all. And so we bought into it from the top of the house all the way down. I think that's very important. I'm a resource for you all. I don't work for Integrity Solutions. I obviously work for the bank. I've got my cards up here. If you think it may be hard to sell your executives on this and you think they would like to talk to another executive from another bank that's implemented it, please, I'll give you one of my cards. I'm more than happy to talk to any of them. I can tell them our experience and our story, and more than happy to do that.